Swati ma'am, we are going live in 3 seconds.
Okay, but sir, UKC सर अभी तक ज्वाइन नहीं किया, मैं क्या उनको फोन करूं पहले? हेलो
मैम,
हाँ, मैं क्या UKC सर को फोन करूं?
नहीं, वो 2-4 मिनट में ज्वाइन कर लेंगे हम। ये 10 मिनट की तो वीडियो है, इंट्रो वीडियो है।
ओके, ऑलराइट,
वीडियो स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं।
ठीक है, थैंक यू। हाँ, थैंक यू।
Welcome. Welcome everyone to this show. And we are on day 25. Day 25 of the 75 evenings program that is going on for 75 evenings starting from October 21st and ending October 21st, 2021 and ending in April, middle of April 2022. So when we started, it wasn't that much a winter. And now, as we know, we are in the height of winter. Across some of the parts of the country, it's like freezing at this point of time. So good to see you all join us for the 25th evening. And before the day starts, and there are fabulous speakers today as well, moderated, led by a young professor. But before that starts, let me take this opportunity because I find there are a few new people who have joined us both on YouTube and here in the Zoom. Those who have joined us first time, for them, Global Media Education Council, of which as the secretary, I have the pleasure of welcoming you all. On behalf of our president, Professor K.G. Suresh, Vice Chancellor of Makhanlal Chaturvedi University, and on behalf of Vice Presidents from India and abroad, total of 10 nations across the country, across the world, on everyone's behalf and the working committee, I have the pleasure of inviting you all to this 25th evening of 75 evening long program, world's longest Global Communication Education Conclave that is going on, which is an interesting thing. Yes, Professor Sapna, very much welcome to be amongst us today. And Professor Sapna herself is a leader in her own capacity here, and she has organized 2 evenings, fabulous evenings out of this 25. The best part of this program is it's not just an academician's jamavra or get together. It's a conclave which brings a policymaker, a very senior academician, and an academician who is evolving at this point of time, and a corporate leader in the field, from the field of media, and a foreign speaker, along with 1 or 2 researchers and 1 or 2 authors together. The diversity is its power. It is strength. We look at all aspects of people practicing, teaching, learning, mentoring, media and communication. That's why it's the longest and perhaps the largest Global Communication Education Conclave, GCEC, organized by Global Media Education Council, GMEC. I have the pleasure of welcoming you all and passing the baton to the leader of this evening. And this is a very significant part of this program. Every evening, a bright young professor, assistant professor, associate professor, whoever of that evening takes up the task of giving leadership to that evening. That particular academic has brought all of you together, who would be joining, who are already there and would be joining. Allow me to welcome Ms. Swati Agarwal, the Assistant Professor of Media and Communication from the School of Media and Communication of Adamas University in Kolkata. This is the first, the 25th evening, the first evening led by an academic from that university, Adamas University of Kolkata. And I had the pleasure of being the Pro-Vice Chancellor there for almost 3 years, 2.5 years. And I'm so happy to see my young colleague, who is a good researcher, has been writing over the last 3-4 years in more than 10 research journals, participating in 13 to 14 media conferences, leading the bachelor's education of media and communication at Adamas University, being herself a graduate and a postgraduate, and even a postgraduate in media and communication from Calcutta University, and also have worked in news portals before joining, news and views portals before joining the academics. Over to you, Swati, for your maiden evening at GMAC, at GCEC. And I'm sure this evening, like the previous 24 ones, will be an extremely interesting, content-rich, and also pleasurable evening. And we'll listen to some of the best voices of India and beyond India. Over to you, the moderator of the day, Swati Agarwal, Assistant Professor at Adamas University.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I have learned a lot from you, and I'm privileged to be a part of Global Media Education Council, which is doing phenomenal work. So today's webinar, I also would like to welcome everyone who is there in this event. So today's webinar is on the digital frontiers, mapping the future discourse. That's the topic of the webinar. So as media educators, it is our duty to prepare tomorrow's leaders equipped with the knowledge to handle the opportunities and challenges which are presented by the digital media. The digital media shows a huge scope and potential for growth and is constantly evolving. There has been no sphere where the impact of digital media was not felt. So our webinar today will throw light on various aspects of it. So today we have with us Dr. Madhupa Bakshi. Ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Julda.
So I would like to introduce Dr. Madhupa Bakshi, ma'am. Dr. Madhupa Bakshi is an alumnus of California State University. She's the founder, dean, and professor, Department of Media Science, the Heritage Academy, Kolkata. She has over 2 decades of teaching experience in media. Under her leadership, the department has worked on live paid projects from IIM Kolkata, American Center, USIS, and Vikram Solar. She has also taught at IIM Kolkata executive programs, IIM Udaipur, IIM Ranchi, and IIM Bodh. She's a staunch believer of the fact that academics is rooted in research, and she's an academic researcher, an active researcher, having publications in many reputed journals. She has been reviewing articles for reputed journals and guiding researchers in their work. She also has received multiple laurels in her career. She has also got many grants to present papers from international research bodies like Academy of Marketing Science and World Association for Public Opinion Research. Currently, in her off time, she is actively involved in an NGO called A View. She always aims to create her classrooms a place where students can draw inspiration and focus on their future. She advises the next generation to be lifelong learners, and that is the only way to excel in life, she believes. Okay, so I request UKC sir to please present ma'am, felicitate ma'am with the award.
Thank you, Swati, for inviting and introducing Dr. Bakshi in details. And it's such an honor that I also have the pleasure of being her colleague once upon a time for some years. And it's such an honor to talk on behalf of GMAC, conferring the honor for stellar contribution to media and communication education. As all of us know, those who have been attending earlier sessions, every day we honor one stalwart academic from the field of media and communication. So today we have the pleasure on behalf of GMAC, the entire body of Vice Presidents, President and Secretary and Working Committee, to have Dr. Madhupa Bakshi, Dean and Professor, the Heritage Academy, Kolkata, amongst us. And it's our honor to confer the award of stellar contribution to media and communication education to her. May the host show the award video. May the host show the award video. Thanks, Dr. Bakshi, for your presence. The conferment certificate signed by all the vice presidents from all the 10 nations, president and secretary together, would be in hard form, in the sense of framed certificate, would be couriered to you in time. And we are very much happy, and your talk shall be a part of our, I mean, you may kindly give it in written later on. part of the book that we are publishing on all the 75 awardees of the 75 evenings. Over to you, Dr. Bakshi, to give your acceptance speech in consonance, in tune, in tandem with the theme of the day. Over to you.
Thank you, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary. Thank you, Swati, so much. I'm humbled. Professor Chaudhary, you have been a stalwart yourself, and we all look upon you who have worked with you. We have learned from you a lot, and I am still learning. I was just wondering what an enthusiasm you bring, what a spirit you bring to the media educators and to the people who surround you and work with you. Hopefully, we imbibe that spirit also in our work and therefore is able to carry forward. Today, media education is perhaps at a hair bend because, or an inflection point where it needs to adapt technology, where it needs to adapt the digital disruption that has come into its way. I would mainly talk, my field refers to more of branding, advertising, marketing, communications, which is more one of the segments of the entire media spectrum. But I believe that this is one area people don't speak so much about. And also, as far as work is concerned in media school, very few schools work on this area, particularly focus on this area. Most of the media schools focus on journalism, television, or films. So very few schools focus in this area, but there is a huge market when we look at the branding and advertising and the PR side of it, or the digital side, digital communication that we look forward to. And today, technology is ruling it. A few months back, we were part of a workshop from Urbana, Illinois, Champaign, and they have a brand hub. And they had conducted a workshop for the heritage students and also the faculty at Heritage. And in that, we got to learn how much technology has got into the business of, let's say, everyday advertising. One of the studies that they shared was that when we are looking at advertising, they are mapping the pathway of the tracking our eyes. And while tracking our eyes, they found that when we are looking at digital advertising, where the eyes are resting on a particular Pantene bottle or on a particular poster of Pantene, by that they can tell the advertiser that perhaps the positioning of the bottle or the positioning of the label on the bottle or the label on that display ad is not correct. You need to move that. Going further on, the data that they are capturing on tracking the people, how the people are using digital advertising in this platform, in the various platforms that the people are, and especially in the light of pandemic, when 70% of advertising was happening on the digital platform, the amount of data these companies have on hand and the amount of analysis that they are doing, they are at a point where they are advising or giving the creative brief. It's no longer the client servicing executive or just the client or just the account group that is giving the creative brief. It is also the technology that is giving the creative brief. And this technology is telling that whether an ad is going to work. They are analyzing the videos that have been shown beforehand. And then they are saying that these videos, when it is analyzed, gives a different picture altogether. You need to work on your videos in a way so that the people respond better, or the people understand the videos better, and the feedback or the reviews come better. So much for let's say this would be typically AI. But as far as the metaverse is concerned, as far as the virtual reality is concerned, a lot of the people, in light of the pandemic, are utilizing in the event space 3D figures, virtual reality in those. And the event space is going to be redefined completely. In fact, we had our own program of Adapter where we discuss various different forms of marketing communications, and there was an expert from the field of experiential marketing or the marketing event management, and he was talking about how sitting from home they are organizing events pan India, and they're using virtual reality to create those events. So basically, what if you look back, digital is at every point, and we need to understand how we are going to leverage that digital in the various areas of our media education. One of the feedbacks was that media education as a whole is uh, I would also like to bring UKC. One of the feedbacks that I just got is that 22% feel that in education, I think, though I'm using a survey which is a worldwide survey, it's not typical India would probably by far more, that 22% feel that there has been hardly any digitization of the education. Which, if you come to think of it, we are far from it. Why? Simply because if you're using Google Meet or virtual reality or let's say a Zoom platform, that's not digitization. There's a lot more to do in our classroom if we are going to use technology. And by this, when I'm saying if you're going to, are we using games? Are we using apps in our classroom? The challenges, the media educators would say that there are challenges to use games, apps, and things like that. Not really. We have to explore. If any of the researchers are doing, I'm sure those who are up to date researchers, they are using Zotero, they are using notes, they are using n number of things to get those references organized. So yes, so we need to work on those areas. I would in fact urge GMEC to create a conversation regarding this, and to bring in people who could talk about how we can do some gamification in education, some digitization, input of digitization. Because when I go into the classroom, if I ask my students to open their their mobiles and look at any data or look at any things, I don't carry a PPT nowadays, because I found that PPT is very boring to them. It's rather better that I refer them to the YouTube videos. It's rather better that I refer them to the site where it has some core data. But yes, for me today, it's still a challenge. How do I gamify their experience, the learnings? How do I create simulations of their learnings? That to that end, we are not yet there. When we were using Google Classrooms, typically when I was attending any classroom abroad, our Brand Hub experience, they were all broken down into Google breakout rooms or Zoom breakout rooms, and these breakout rooms were their groups were working, and the groups were presenting together. So these were, and the classroom was an animated classroom, because people were discussing the issues. It was just not reading, discussion the issues. So those things also need to be done at a local level. If we can have local apps like Dunzo, local apps like Swiggy, who are local based, why don't we have still something which is locally based, which gives the social sciences. I believe the area of sciences have been explored in terms of simulations, in terms of games, but not in the area of the social sciences, though lots can be done. Also, if you go to YouTube, you will find a lot of material in the area of management, in the area of, but not in the area of our own subject matter. Yes, a lot of lectures are there, but at the end of the day, how much of those lectures are being utilized? If any of you have attended a Coursera course, which I did to find out how it is, all these Coursera courses either use animations, or they use small exercises or games, so that the student is hooked on to the content, and they're very crisp. They lead you to read the book. They make you read the book, because each and every chapter you have to read the book, then only you can solve it. So what I would say is that the content is linked. It's not that the content cannot be linked. The old-fashioned way of reading a book is still managed in the modern day structure, but only that we have to think about how we structure it. The digital technology is here. We have to accept it, the inform. As far as advertising is concerned or marketing communications is concerned, everyone knows that today emotions are being mapped. How much emotion you are spending, how much on a brand and people are expressing. If you are all aware, Instagram, Twitter, they are all in Instagram wars. Twitter war, moment marketing is on. And if you don't know the content, you won't be able to capture that moment marketing. It is the old day Amul ads, but the Amul ads came in the old days when they were very contemporary. Today, all the brands, the big brands, are contemporary. From Durex to Swiggy to everybody, they are contemporary. Therefore, the content remains the king. But how you utilize in this technology world depends upon how smart you are and how you have leveraged it. Yukasi, do you want to join? Do you want to add on to it? Because I know you would have a lot of
No,
comments.
Today is your day, and we are with rapt attention. We're listening to you, and that's important. And very good points you brought. Gamification hasn't been brought in our discourse in the last 24 evenings, largely, and also the use of modern emerging technologies in providing media education in general, media education in particular, has been very rightfully brought in. And I do believe that convergence of a game, a book, a video, a podcast, and above all practice or experiential would only make learning really internalized. What we do is transfer of information. We actually don't do integrated learning. So what you have been saying so far is asking for bringing in emerging technologies as a component of education and make learning even more complete. I will only, before we go to the next speaker, being introduced by, I think the chief guest has also joined, being introduced by Swati, I will only request you, GMAC is not about just 75 evenings of the education conclave that we are having, in which we are bringing in so many various talent, and you will see today itself, after you also, you'll see the next 4 or 5 speakers. But what is important is that we have also taken 2 other projects. One is in-depth syllabus making in new areas. For example, what you said as emerging technologies in media and communication. It's a new area. There is no, there are some animation syllabus roughly in some universities, animation and graphics. But beyond that, bringing in virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, Internet of Things, AI, ML, and gaming. All of these technologies together in media education is not there. Even in engineering, they're just evolving. So in media education, it's not there. If you can contribute to that project of bringing in new syllabus for the niche areas, it would be great. And if you can also, that's the second project that has been started, led by Dr. Punita, Dr. Pallavi Majumdar, and Dr. Gauri Chakravarti. But 50 different areas of syllabus are being created. If you could take responsibility of one of them. And secondly, Dr. Sunayan Bhattacharjee and Dr. Ankuran Datta of Govt University, together, Sunayan from Adamas, together, they are launching, they have already launched another project where 50 in-depth areas has been taken, not for syllabus making, but for a monograph, research-based monograph. So if you can bring in, for example, gamification and emerging technologies, how they can revolutionize media education in practice. So that would be a sort of an in-depth research. So those things will come back later on. I will share the brochures with you on the WhatsApp.
On that note, may I add just one thing? We are doing a CBCS syllabus at our university, that is Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University. And in fact, the university has told us, because it's a technology university, that in the last semester, we have to think of AR, VR in our specializations. In fact, one of the things that I have proposed is data journalism. If you look at Columbia School of Journalism, if you look at the other, the biggest schools of journalism, US, they are all collaborating with their engineering schools to bring in data-driven journalism, to bring in financial journalism. And these are all data-driven areas where they are handling big data. So I know it would, in our country, it would be a challenge. But if something, and also to just not to give the students or something, they must also see a career path in it. So looking at that career path and where they can find it would be a very niche area, but it's certainly something one can take an effort on. So if we'll talk, I'm sure we would be having a conversation regarding this later, but definitely if GMEC is exploring such areas, kudos to you all for doing that.
Thank you. GMEC is actually a common platform of all media educators, beginning from India, but aiming to be global. Already 9 other countries' vice presidents are there. So it would be an honor if you can focus on that area and bring in a much needed technological tweak or context to our education. Thank you. With that, we go back to Swati for the next speaker, please. Thank you very much, ma'am. Swati, you are mute. Swati, kindly unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself and introduce the next speaker, whoever is present.
Yeah. Sir, I would be introducing Sahar Zaman. Ms. Sahar Zaman, are you there, ma'am?
Yes, yes, she's there. She's there. We can see that. You can see that too. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Ms. Sahar Zaman is an independent journalist having 20 years of experience and is also a TEDx speaker. She has worked as the consulting senior news editor and anchor at Times Network and as the arts columnist at the Times of India. She was also associated with CNN, IBN, Bloomberg TV, Doordarshan News, Tehelka, Reuters Asia, Headlines Today. She is the founder of Asia's first web channel on arts, Hunar TV, which focuses on curated content related to arts and culture. As an arts journalist, she has produced and presented interviews with the leading names in arts and design. We are delighted to have you, ma'am, with us today. Now the platform is all yours.
Thank you, Swati, very much for that. And I much appreciate Professor Ujjwal for inviting me here for this beautiful platform at GMEC, and also to be a part of listening into other speakers as well. As I was listening to Dr. Bakshi, that was also, of course, very significant because it was from a media academician point of view. But as far as my contribution to today's session here is, it's going to be in terms of media consumption in mainstream newsroom experience that I've had as a consulting news editor and primetime news anchor. So it's going to be more in terms of that, what we really think about, what we really define today as digital frontiers, and how are we going to be mapping the future discourse as far as the role of the media and people's lives are concerned. I have a very different take on this term called digital frontiers, because in my experience, this is specifically as far as news consumption for the layman is concerned, there are no frontiers in the digital world anymore. It's everywhere. It's all pervasive. It's omnipresent. Most people are equipped with a smartphone and they have access to the net, and they are continuously having access to news on digital platforms here. And this is where the worry has risen, because unlike very recently, when we talk about the past in terms of the digital world, the past is barely 5 to 6 years ago. At the most, put it at 10 years. So when we talk about the past, which would at the most just stretch at 6 to 10 years, um, digital news and digital platforms for news were information platforms in the digital world were used very positively. It was a positive space. But because now there is so much bombardment of information on a daily basis, on a minute to minute basis here, this space has become chaotic. And it's a disruption. It's the nature of chaos that is extremely worrisome, because it has become increasingly negative. It has become violent as well. So when we talk about mapping a future discourse as far as this aspect of the digital world is concerned here, it's more like mapping wherever you're finding relative chaos here, and the nature of consumption that people do in terms of saying that this is news that they're consuming. They're no longer consuming news from legacy platforms. If they're in the digital world, they're consuming news from social media, from entertainment platforms, thinking that they're consuming genuine news, and that is what is causing a whole lot of chaos. And that is my point of grave concern here tonight, when I look at how future journalism students are responsible in controlling a lot of that chaos, in spearheading what would be required as a movement of bringing back the news to platforms which are legacy platforms, and more importantly to platforms which are known to verify facts, are known to verify information, instead of just throwing it out in the digital space here. Interestingly, these days I'm part of the BRICS Media Summit, the BRICS countries media platform here as well. It's a program that happens every year. There was a gap, I think, of about 2 years because of the pandemic, but it has restarted again this year, and it's all online, of course. But it's about a group of journalists. We're just about 25 of us, 5 of us selected from each of the BRICS countries here, and brought together with this exact purpose of addressing the concern of fake news, addressing how to control these disruptions and chaos which is caused by fake news. And of course, also trying to work positively in integrating our content, in making our content rich, user-friendly, useful to the news consumer here. But I'm going to be focusing here as far as the chaos that is being caused in the digital world and news consumption, that is, of course, in dealing with wrong facts and fake news here. In a very interesting example that was given by a fellow journalist in China, where he said, and they have analyzed this in the past year and a half, and of course this figure has entirely shot up because it's been pandemic induced, where everyone's been on their phones for a major part of 2 years. He said that, and I think the figure that he quoted was 73%. 73% of senior citizens in China consume news from the TikTok platform. TikTok. And I was shocked when I heard that, because TikTok is parody, TikTok is silly fun, and they're consuming news from a platform which doesn't take anything seriously. So you can imagine the nature of chaos there, on how things are taken out of context, on how news is misconceived, on how news is manipulated, on how news could be put across as a satire, as a parody. But they're consuming news, thinking it's news, and they're consuming it from TikTok. And I was immediately reminded of what has already happened in our country, in India, as far as WhatsApp is concerned. This is the exact kind of chaos that we had seen very recently. I would say just about 5 years ago, when we had the start of horrifying lynching cases that have taken place in our country. This would be end 2016, 2017 specifically onwards here. In one of the cases, which the Supreme Court also stepped in here, saying that it is misinformation that has caused it, which had the government step in then and instruct WhatsApp in newer guidelines that were released by WhatsApp, that you could send in a forwarded message only to 20 people. That was further brought down, forwarded messages, to just 5 people at a time. And of course, each time that you sent a forwarded message, it came with the text on the top left of your message that this is forwarded. So the receiver of the message would know that this is a forwarded message and it has not come from the originator of a message. So, I mean, one would think that you would verify what has come in. These were reforms that were brought in 5 years. 5 years down the line, we have once again reached another level of chaos. When we talk about 2021, there's another set of chaos here, where we require more updated IT guidelines here, to tackle harassment by trolls, to tackle fake news. And once again, we're just catching up. We're running against time in reforming the digital news space, in making it a healthy space where information that you receive is verified. We have newer set of IT guidelines that were notified in July this year, but the damage that is done by this digital disruption is far too much than what any set of guidelines can, bring in, because we continuously just catching up with the damages here that have come in, and it becomes very difficult to plug these damages. It's difficult to plug these damages, and it's difficult to undo these damages, because a lot of these damages reflect in the real world, in the physical world. These damages have led to violence. These damages are in terms of violence, in terms of clashes, in terms of lynching, in terms of loss of life. So that is the extent of the damage that we're talking about here. There are a few examples here that come to my mind that show the power of this digital disruption that can be used positively. There are very few examples. I mean, I could give a list of examples of how this has damaged society today. I have to think really hard looking at the positives. And that one positive also came out from a tragedy, the tragedy of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic that India faced, the devastating tragedy that we faced, in which we had Twitter being used positively by people, by the citizenry. They were sending out SOS messages, helping people get oxygen, medicine, beds, and that is how in a long time, we had seen how social media could be used positively. Another example, of course, an extremely niche platform, which doesn't affect too many lives, is investment in cryptocurrency. I mean, the spike in the popularity of cryptocurrency, and when I talk about the NFTs, which are the artworks on the digital platform, the investment spike in that, of course, has been because of the massive use of digital tools that have gone up during the pandemic. But these are very few positive examples. We need to be using our digital space far more positively instead of damaging people's lives here. What we are going through right now, which is post-pandemic, I mean, we would say post-pandemic, but we're still in the pandemic. We could have another wave triggered by the Omicron. But it is post 2 years of now understanding that the hybrid world now is going to be our reality. So we have undergone once in a lifetime global change, and this hybrid world of being both offline as well as online simultaneously, be in terms of personal life, be in terms of social engagements, be in terms of discussions that we're having such as today, and be in terms of work as well. The online is now continuously going to run parallel with us. It's no longer going to be switch off, switch on for online. That will run parallel with our offline life. So this is going to be a huge task for us here to maintain peace, to respect our democratic values here while we consume data. It's important for each one of us to smarten up. And that's when I talk about smartening up for the layman here, I would look at it as a Herculean task in terms of not knowing the information of news, digital news that you have in your smartphone, whether it's authentic and how to verify it. I mean, we come from the professional news world. We know tools that exist such as Google, such as InMapping, such as InVid. These are tools for us to know that these can be used to verify information. And apart from these tools, we have our own whole network of on-ground reporters and correspondents as well to verify information. But for the layman to know that the information that he's receiving on the digital space here, to what extent it is genuine and how to verify that, that is going to be a huge task. We need user-friendly tools that even empowers the layman to verify information. We are looking at this happening in legacy news platforms. As far as being callous with information. I think to an extent, I would also hold legacy news platforms responsible, because uh, we have all run into this mess of giving out information that should go viral. You know, in the middle, in the television news industry, it was about giving out information first. So we had the breaking news madness. Verify hua, kitna verify hua, just put it out, be the first. Be the first to bring out the news. We have gone beyond that madness of being the first and entered another level of madness of being the most viral. And in that rush to be the most viral, we have started behaving. A lot of legacy news platforms, which are also diversifying into the digital space, are now behaving and competing with platforms such as TikTok and Snapchat and Twitter videos and Facebook videos here. Um, Horrifying examples that come to my mind. A video game, a video game sequence of fighter jets has been used on national news television to show the fall of the Afghanistan government, to show the final frontier, Kandahar, having fallen. And Kandahar hadn't fallen, but a video game was used to show the final end of representatives of the Afghanistan government. In the entertainment world, it's a chaos of another level. I mean, there's a morphed photograph which I just saw a few hours ago today, and which was done with a very popular national television news channel, putting a morphed photograph of actor Ranbir Kapoor in Katrina Kaif's wedding celebrations and Mehendi celebrations to show that her former partner had come in, and how did that happen. And it was completely fake, and there was no need for a news channel to be running into this space of such random fake news. It's just this madness just to go viral. Seriously, sometimes I think I won't be surprised that a Minecraft game video is put up on a news channel to say that this is the latest building that has been made by some government. We're not far away from there unless we put an absolute stop to this nonsense here. And it really worries me as someone who's been in mainstream news and who's been in the front of what has happened to our news, television news in 20 years. There's a huge graph that I have witnessed and observed, and it worries me to what our next generation is going to be headed into. Uh, when I talk about the next generation, I would talk about the next generation in terms of a news consumer, as well as the next generation who's interested in getting into news media, on so many checks and balances now that need to be kept in mind here to be a responsible journalist. So, in my opinion, I would like to partly conclude here saying that right now, as far as the frontier to conquer today is not digital. Digital is no longer in terms of frontiers. As I said, it's all pervasive. I think it's fake news that needs to be controlled, and that is the challenge, and that is what we need to keep a check on. The violence. I'm going to be giving in some more examples just to highlight and emphasize on the extent of the trouble that we're talking about today. The violence that happened against minorities in Bangladesh is used out of context to create violence against minorities that had happened in Manipur. A fake YouTube video, an entirely fake information video on YouTube, caused violence against a church, I beg your pardon, a school, a Christian school in Madhya Pradesh, which was attacked during the time the students were taking their exams. And the basis of this trigger of violence was a YouTube video with absolutely fake information. So that is how grave the situation here is today. And a major part of mapping the future discourse of what we're talking about is that to have our IT guidelines actually bring the criminal to task, to bring the person to book, to whether or not our cyber cells of all police stations across the country here are equipped enough, updated enough on a daily basis to deal with this mischief, because mischief makers have access to the digital, have access to all platforms, but lawmakers and protectors of law, as I said, are still catching up. So that should be our absolute focus here, not just as a responsibility as citizens of news consumers, but governments and lawmakers here as well, to be true to the facts, to be entirely true to the facts. And when we talk about our future, that is the emphasis here. And that is where I would like to leave my concern in building what we should keep in mind for the future discourse.
Very interesting, very interesting. Frontier to conquer is not the digital, it is all pervasive, but it is the fake news which is the frontier to conquer. This is a very important message from this talk. And I do believe that there is a need for an all-pervasive or all-encompassing media literacy movement in the country to understand what is fake and what is not, what is good and what is bad. And it must start like the way we learn basics of communication from school. We need to understand as the time comes, we need to understand what is wrong and what is right or fake or not fake, perhaps from school, if not junior, at least from the +2 level, surely at the university level. And future discourse needs IT guidelines to bring cyber criminals to task, even those who are spreading harmful fake information. Very well said. Thank you for all the very timely contemporary comments that you have given. And the way you said Omicron, I was almost telling, oh my God. So it's almost like fearing the next pandemic. I hope it doesn't come. Back to you, Swati, for bringing the next speaker on.
So I have a question for Mr. Harsaman. Ma'am, we see a lot of lots of Photoshop and deepfakes in these days, but isn't it possible that these instances, they're preparing us for misinformation? You know, they're training us not to trust anything. So ma'am, what do you have to say on this?
I'm sorry, we see photoshopped images, you said?
Yeah, like we are seeing a lot of Photoshop images and deepfake videos nowadays on the internet, but like these instances, whichever they happen, they are like preparing us for misinformation cases. And, you know, they are actually training the human mind not to trust anything. So what do you think is going to be the impact of these things?
I think the first reaction now, as part of our second skin, should be to just verify what is coming our way. Verify what you see on Twitter, unless it's coming from a legacy platform. As I said, unfortunately, even legacy platforms have fallen into this trap of faking things. Verify things that come on WhatsApp, verify things that come on TikTok. If you really think you need to consume news on TikTok, good heavens. Verification should be our natural habit now. And as I said, the industry has to work towards providing user-friendly tools for verification. In the media industry, as professionals, as experts, we have our verification tools in our newsroom. We use a lot of our verification tools to know what is wrong, what is correct. And apart from that, as I said, we have an entire team of correspondents here to also verify information. But for a person who is consuming news, who's outside the media industry, who's a layman, that person needs to be empowered by the system to be provided user-friendly tools that can help verify information. I think that should become our first response, part of our skill while consuming information.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this entertaining talk. I am sure the audience must have been very informed after listening to whatever you said. Thank you so much for coming to this platform and being there with us. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would now like to call upon the next speaker, Mr. Rajiv Nandi. Mr. Rajiv Nandi is a social sciences researcher based in Bangladesh and an assistant professor of the Department of Communication and Journalism at the University of Chittagong, Bangladesh. He studied and carried out research at the University of Chittagong and School of Education and Communication, John Copping University, which is in Sweden. In addition to teaching, he spends his time working as a freelance mobile journalist and multimedia trainer. He has also worked as a reporter in two prominent Bangladeshi daily newspapers. Mr. Nandi has contributed several research papers and book chapters to renowned national and international speakers. He's a founding coordinator of Indo-Bangla Media Educators Network, a networking platform of media educators, journalists, and researchers of Bangladesh and India. He regularly writes popular articles and features in the mainstream media of these two countries, India and Bangladesh, on various contemporary issues. So thank you, sir, for being there with us, and the platform is all yours.
Thank you very much. Am I audible and visible also?
So I'll just highlight your video.
Yeah, you are very much audible and visible.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary and panelists. I just heard about the Shahir Zaman speech, and thank Professor Shafia Agrawal for inviting me. It was a tight schedule, and greetings to all from Bangladesh, because today is the Independence Day of Bangladesh, and it is a very much a friendship day of Indo-Bangla, because we are celebrating our national victory day. And this is a remarkable day for our glory friendship of India and Bangladesh also. On behalf of Indo-Bangla Media Educators Network, I am Rajiv Nandi. Special greetings for all. Unfortunately, I'm very much late in this program, and I have another engagement of live session in our national broadcast TV station at late night. So I have to just conclude my theme point in the short time in this point. So I think the digital media facilitation of the social interaction is very much important for our time being, and especially in our pandemic, it is also a very much communicative approach to all, because in this time I am from Chittagong, long distance from Kolkata also, and some panelists are from the different places of the subcontinent. So it would not be possible without pandemic, because in this pandemic we have discovered that there's another world in the digital web system, and the digital age connects the people in ways that are never possible before, because before pandemic and after pandemic there's a huge change of the world system. And in the Americans are on social medias, and individual may maintain friendships across the different time zones, and regardless of the distance between 79% share their life milestone with their friends and their family in the social media. So social media is the very much popular platform of our era. Because of the social media, for this reason, so the digital platform is too much important for us, and not only for the digital media education system, but also the news broadcasting and online system, online education policy, online education system, online exam. And the pandemic time, there is actually encouragement of internet and boosting the words for this pandemic. And all of us know that in this pandemic, the most loudly speaks word is the "Am I audible?" Am I audible is the very much popular sentence in this pandemic, because in this pandemic is a huge digital webinar, digital meetings, digital live session. Also, there's the shapes of the provide the users with the more engaging the feed. And why does this have no do in our business though? Because the special moments share on the commonly there's a highly emotional faculties in this digital era. While all brands may not have a product of our several times for this social media era and the brand recognition. So this is the point that some of the motivation can stem for the digital era. So some questions are arising in this time, because I have joined in the some multiple digital platform, and like it's the mobile journalism or the digital multimedia production and multimedia editing. Also, I taught the course of multimedia editing in third year honors level in our department. So some are the very much vital question in our time. So how is the digital media helpful for us? And the digital media facilitation, what is the social interaction, and the change of the social behavior in our social and digital time. And the main question is the digital media levels of the playing field for the small business to the group business. It is a common playing field for the all public or all peoples, and the digital media aligns with the how many components which the consumes for the general people. And what are the three types of digital media, like the own the digital media, paid digital media, or the earned digital media? Some explanation for our time being, there is a lots of digital media system in our country, from Bangladesh also. So in 2004, we have started our journey for the digital online news section, like the bdnews24.com. It was the first online digital portal of our Bangladesh. From 2004 to 2021, it is a long time being for our digital storytelling, and we have witnessed for this time change. There is a long time, there's not a long time based, but what is the difference between the digital media and the digital marketing and digital news policy? We have already cleared this, and digital media marketing and the digital business policy in our country, we have already shaped this. And we had a slogan in our country, is Digital Bangladesh. So what is Digital Bangladesh? Digital Bangladesh means that we are going to the digital era, and the digital era in the main component is the digital media. So in this pandemic, I focused on the digital system also, because without digital system, it is not possible to contact with the far beyond the country, the cross-border country. And we can see the all effects of the digital in our everyday lives. But how this will have for our education system, media system, in our relationship, it should be a great question. And it is now it is a burning question for all of us. I think digital media is any form of the media that uses the electronic devices for the distribution, and this form for the media can be created, viewed, modified, edited, or distributed via the electronic device. Now I am also in live session with my a small electronic device with engaged with the laptop and a sound system. This is my multimedia home studio also. So it should not be possible because in this pandemic, I have just occupied by the system. So the digital system or digital media is fully occupied us. And even though the digital media is a part of our everyday culture, and business owners and the educational policymakers and the media educators also, they themselves uncomfortable. Who are those are uncomfortable with the replacing their paper advertising? So they just come before in this pandemic, they come in the digital platform. Lots of the people or lots of the faculty members of our country and lots of the students are just coming there in this pandemic. There is use the YouTube channel, WhatsApp, or Zoom account, or the Facebook Live. How about with the constants, the shift of the technology? One cannot deny the influence that the digital media. So this is the time to arise the question, the power of the digital technology in the digital media. I think it would be nice and to talk more about the digital media, but it is not a good idea to contain my analysis. This is through a small brief analysis. I think Professor Ujjwal K. Chaudhary is very much a good initiative for us to make a chance with this initiative. And the participators of almost 30 plus. So I just thanks to all, and very much thanks to the GEEC for this arrangement. And thank you very much from my side, from my university, Chittagong University Communication and Journalism, and thanks from my side, Indo-Bangla Media Educators Network.
Thank you, Rajiv. Very well spoken. You explain very powerfully how digital is a partner in life now. And though there are challenges of long digital use or relationships and all, but still the positive sides are quite a large number. And you explained that well. You are one of the early migrants to mobile journalism. I remember you doing mobile journalism 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, even in Udaipur.
Yes.
All India Media Educators Conference, where you had come as a representative and delegation from Bangladesh. So nice to see, and your effort in bringing Indo-Bangla media educators also is a very, very admirable initiative that has been taken up. And please do continue with that and do contribute to Global Media Education Council's work as well in Bangladesh and otherwise. I shall be in Bangladesh from 1st to 14 January in Dhaka.
Oh, you are most welcome, sir. And don't miss the Chittagong visit also.
Let's see. So on the invitation of Daffodil International University, I'll be there for 14 days. And during that time, maybe far more interaction, closer interaction, and even face-to-face interaction can be done. As you were speaking, I noticed there was Ulud Dhoni in your background. For those who are in the audience who are not Bengalis, ululating or Ulud Dhoni, the sound of calling the god or the goddess, is a very, pious sound, a very nice sound that was there in the background. Perhaps evening prayers were going on. The beauty is that, it's a traditional sound of spirituality, and it was being communicated to us through the digital means because you were live audio and video on the talk. What a beautiful way. I just wanted to note this at this point. And I really we have lost this Ulud Dhoni in most of our Bengali homes in Calcutta. You have kept it alive in Chittagong, the land of Master the Surya Sen. Indeed, thanks to you. Thanks to. And Pritulata Vadedar, we should not forget the lady as well, powerful lady she was. Over to you, Swati, and thank you for bringing a young professor as keynote addressee today from Bangladesh.
Thank you, sir, for your arrangement and my engagement also. Thank you, sir.
On the Vijay Divas, this is the Vijay Divas. This is the day when Bangladesh was born, and this is the day when success of the battle of Mukti Jodha or Mukti, army that was there with the support of Indira Gandhi's government in India. So it's a very major and very memorable historical day too, to have a Bangladeshi speaker speak on our platform. Thank you, Rajiv. Over to you, Swati.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for accepting an invitation and attending the webinar, despite there being a victory day in your country. Thank you so much. And sir, I have a small question for you. So, digital education is so much prominent these days, like because of the COVID situation also, all of us had to migrate to digital media for education also. So what do you think, like, has it increased the digital divide in the society because of the use of so much of internet and digital media? So, like, what is the solution? What do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you very much for this burning question, and it's a very much important question to all of us from the media educator side or the who are from the teaching profession. So lots of our students are facing the digital divides. They just told us, sir, I have no any mobile phone, sir, I have no any data. So it is not possible to put your assignment in the deadline, and it is not possible to attend your class. So it is very much a vital question for us. So in this situation in our country, it is a clearly digital divide system in our country. So in this pandemic, this is also very much bushing clear system also, because in this era, lots of the people, lots of the students have no in digital device, and I have my cell phone and my laptop and my DSLR also. You show me in the very much crystal clear, because I have lots of digital device in my own ownership. But lots of our faculty members and lots of our students have no any digital mobile. So this is not the question of the personal ownership. This is the question of the question for the state, for the system. Because in this system we have no chance to give a digital device, because we have lots of demands of our morality, of our daily needs, of our food, clothing, treatment also. The food, clothing, having the good food, and our education is our right, and food is our right, and the lodging is our right. But in this pandemic, there's another question. The digitalization or digital device is our right. So this is the burning question for us. I am a researcher. I am from the side of my view, or from the side of my dais as a speaker, as a teacher. I have no any solution, because this is the question to my state, to my education system, to my educational ministry, to the to our society also. So why we face the digital divide? So if the society is divided, so it is very much common to face a digital divide also, I think, from my side. So I am a researcher. I have no any special fragment work on this side. So I have no any conclusion, or I have no any solution for this, but I have an explanation on my personal views, or my personal just I think, observation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for attending the webinar today. Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome also, and thanks for your invitation and nice arrangement.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so we will now proceed with the book release. We have a book to release today, which has been written by Dr. Kriti Singh and Dr. Juhi Pathak. I would quickly introduce them to you. Okay, so the name of the book is Contemporary Media Discourses, Trends, Issues, and Prospects. As I said, the writer is Dr. Kriti Singh and Dr. Juhi Pathak. Dr. Juhi Pathak is an author and has a specialization in print, television, and media law and ethics. She is presently an assistant professor at the School of Film, Media and Entertainment, Sharda University. She has received various awards and certificates of merit for her academic excellence, including the prestigious Anu Doram Bura Award awarded by the state government of Assam. She has also received multiple other appreciations from international and national platforms, organizations, including a recognition from Assam State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, because of her writings on child rights, child issues. So, Dr. Kriti Singh, the other writer of the book, is a qualitative researcher, communication expert, and author. She's presently an assistant professor at School of Media, Film, and Entertainment, Sharda University. And also she's a non-resident senior research fellow at CyBureau, the Institute of Cyber Policy Studies, Israel. She's also the recipient of the Best Researcher Award of the year 2021. And at 14th Rashtriya Shiksha Gaurav Puraskar ceremony, she received this award, and from a leading education think tank based in New Delhi. She is also the member of many other prestigious institutions like University of Alberta, Canada, and IMCR, and International Academic Forum, Japan and Qualitative Research Association of Malaysia. So I would now like to invite Dr. Kriti Singh to address the audience and talk about her book.
A very good evening to one and all, and I'm very grateful to GCEC, especially Ujjwal sir, to give us this opportunity to present our book. As I move forward, first of all, I would like to share with all of you that this project is a research project under Altris Center for Research, Training and Development under the aegis of Captain Ayush Purushottam Foundation, which is a New Delhi-based NGO. In this particular book, we are trying to encompass different kind of subjects and different kind of issues which are in current. And in this particular book, we are trying to show how media studies is a dynamic field, which is in a continuous flux. This discipline is continuously evolving. And through this book, we want to present that how different interdisciplinary interactions are occurring in this field. It is a paramount for any person who's interested in functioning of media to keep themselves abreast with the latest development which is occurring in this field. I would request Dr. Juhi P. Pathak to please take it forward from here.
Thank you, Professor Ujjwal sir, for giving us this opportunity. I would directly go to the chapterization and the breakup of the book. The first chapter is titled Cyber Crimes Against Women During COVID-19 Pandemic, an analysis of the existing Indian laws. This chapter tries to gauge if the brand has ethical policies in place as it is diving in a critical space of collecting personal data from people and whether the huge database is protected and secured. Chapter 2, it's titled Portrayal of the Deceased in News Media, February 2021, an analysis of the existing laws with reference to right to privacy in India. It analyzes two important cases of violation of right to privacy. The chapter 3, it's titled Non-Profit Marketing and Social Marketing, an Overview. It discusses the non-profit marketing and social marketing, their respective objectives, various kinds, and future trends. Chapter 4, it's titled Online Marketing Strategies of L'Oreal as a Brand During COVID-19 Pandemic, a Business Ethics Perspective. It analyzes the data provided by the National Commission for Women and sheds light on it with an in-depth analysis of the existing legal framework that prohibits cyber crimes, especially against women. Chapter 5, it's titled Disruptive Technology and Marketing, an Analysis of Artificial Intelligence and Marketing. It deliberates about the role of AI and in marketing space. I would request Dr. Kriti, if you can just take us through chapter 6 to chapter 10.
As you can see, we try to present different interdisciplinary things, how they're interacting in media. Taking it forward, the chapter 6 talks about how disruptive technology of machine learning is impacting advertisement. We move forward from disruptive technologies to the security scene where media is used, especially the role of media in security. So here we dedicated a chapter on understanding the role of media in security sector reform. Then moving forward, another chapter is dedicated to the fake news, a very current issue, that how a fake news is a threat to the national peace and the harmony. Then we did another chapter, which was again on how fake news and artificial intelligence, and we try to put together that how artificial intelligence is used in this fake news. Another chapter which we have dedicated on a very burning topic, which is called internet trolling. This particular chapter in depth talks about how internet trolling is happening in digital spaces and presents an analysis. This is the chapter with which we concluded. We try to provide a spectrum of different readings for our different readers, whether they are media practitioners or students or scholars, and to bring various different kind of important issues that can be discussed. So this was a very brief overview of our book. And Dr. Joy, would you like to add something to it?
We are just grateful to altruists under the aegis of GAF who had the opportunity, who had given us the opportunity of bringing out this research project. It's a research-based work, and all of these chapters were compiled by Dr. Kriti, and we had deliberated and got together this contemporary discourses on media. And we believe that anybody who wants to have an understanding of what are the burning issues of the current times, they can find it as a good read. So that's all from my side.
Thank you. From our end, we would like to take the flyer and the information to all the professors involved in GMAC. There are almost 90 people, 90 different universities and colleges involved, and also to the other 9 countries from where vice presidents have joined. Would like to let them at least know about it, whatever the link, the flyer, the Amazon link, whatever you'll have. And great to have both of you, very bright and scholarly researchers come writers, and also surely professors of media in 2 different universities. And so nice to have these, people from different universities collaborating to come out with a publication, and supported by a foreign foundation, also in support with an Indian foundation, Indian Trust. So indeed, this sort of collaboration, in fact, I truly believe competition is a dirty word in 21st century, particularly in post-pandemic times. It's an era of collaboration, whether even in business, by the way, where competition is used maximum, we have understood the pandemic has forced, a virus has taught mankind how to collaborate. So collaboration is the way to go. And your book also is an example of that. As I was telling earlier, when Professor Madhupa Bakshi was being honored with the eminent media educator recognition today, I was telling that the GMAC has also taken up 2 other projects. One of in-depth study on certain topics to come out with monographs, and the other one is in-depth new age syllabus making. So on this so-called false content, so-called fake news, if it is fake, it is not news. If it is news, it's not fake. So false content is the right word, but then popularly we use fake news. So this battling false content, which Shahar also in detail talked about, if you could contribute to that ongoing battle through an in-depth syllabus or a course on media literacy, particularly anti-fake news movement, focused literacy movement, and that sort of, and also a monograph on that. It would be great in times to come. With this, we welcome your book and we wish it a great run and reading. This sort of books are not to sell 20,000 copies. This sort of books may sell 1,000 or 2,000 copies, but this 2,000 copies will influence 200,000 people. That's the significant part. Libraries need to have it, and surely individual researchers as well. Thank you for your presence today. Back to Swati to carry forward the discussion. Any question you have, Swati? We have been asking very pertinent questions to every speaker, so you can
Sir, if you may allow, I have one clarification. One clarification. This project is only funded by the Indian Foundation, Captain Ayush Purushottam Foundation. I am associated with Israel, one of the Israel Cyber Bureau policy, as a program director for one of their programs. That is a different thing. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Swati.
Thank you so much, Kriti ma'am and Joy ma'am, for your book. Congratulations to you. I would definitely get your book and read it. It would be a very interesting read, and we would need more books like this in the media, because there's very less literature available in these kind of topics, which are very recent, and students need to know more about it. They need to read and they need to learn about it. Okay, so I don't have any questions for you. So congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Swati.
Thank you. So, sir, shall we move with the paper presentations? We have two research scholars who are there.
Great, please do.
Okay, so I would like to call upon Dr. Anisha Nishant, who is an associate professor at NIITE, Institute of Communication. So, yeah, ma'am, can you please share your screen? You're muted, ma'am. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, ma'am, we can see your presentation, but you are muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody here. And first of all, congratulations for organizing such a series of webinar. 75 days of series is a great thing. And also, thank you for giving me an opportunity to present a research paper. This research paper is not related to the discussion today, but I would like to present my paper. So it is on film studies. So locating women characters in Satyajit Ray's film, a gendered analysis of Charulata and Mahanagar. Most of you are from Calcutta. I am sure that I could relate to the movies, and I would be able to do justice for the analysis of the research I have done. So as you know, Satyajit Ray's movies have been unique touch and is the least resemblance to any other films of his period, which makes his movie fall apart, into a different genre. He has also his representation of women characters. They defy from every stereotyping and do not deviate from the realistic appeal. So here the research paper emphasis on the two of his celebrated films, Mahanagar and Charulata. Objective of the analysis is to analyze the representation of women in the selected movies, and to also study Satyajit's film in the context of modernism and feminism, also to understand the predominant aspect of the genre, that is emancipation, to also understand the gender roles and the human relationship in the movie. So I've taken a qualitative approach, that is narrative analysis. So basically a narrative analysis is an examination of the story element, including the narrative structure, character, and the plot. So I've taken this so that I could study the entire film and the story it seeks to tell. Also outlining the plot structure, different characters, also the point of view of the character and their relationship, and also the narrator's point of view and how the entire event, correlates to each of the element. So various scenes that predominantly with my research objectives were picked and analyzed for detailing of the characters, their struggle and the resolution they adopt. The need for an emotional, intellectual, and sexual freedom is discussed in the scenes. The women in these movies are rational enough to act according to their conscience. Although they are shown as an individual under the power of patriarchy, they do not passively succumb to it. That makes the characters stay out. So these are the scenes which I have taken for the study under in the movie Charulata. That is scene 1. depicting the female protagonist Charu and the pastime activities encompassing knitting and reading books. So if you see the opening scenes or throughout the scenes, you find Charulata holding the binocular and looking outside the world. That is very symbolic. This particular scene, I feel like though she is between the four walls, it shows that she wants to experience the other world, the outside world. It not only talks about loneliness but urge to know the world. Her love for Bengali literature is evident, reading and embroidery. And also there is a particular scene when she knits a letter B to her husband and gives her. He asked, this is an important question, he asked, when do you find time for all this? So this shows that how ignorant and how insensitive he is towards the monotonous life of Charu in the movie. Then the second scene, the scene that captures the private time spent by the like-minded Charu and Amal on the garden, adds to the mood of the situation. We find another character, Amal, is a cousin of Charu's husband. The scene is outside the house. There is a sense of freedom witnessed both emotionally and intellectual. So we feel like Charu moving out of the house is very symbolic, that we feel, and there is an exchange of view about poetry and with the Amal. So kind of feel there is a liberation from her arrest. Then we have the scene 3. A question is thrown on Manda by her husband. Are you a traditional woman or a new woman? So this is an inquisitive question posed to the audience, who seeks a line that tags the two women as traditional and modern. So we find in this, there is a character called Manda, who is basically a traditional woman who has a little knowledge about any things beyond the household chores. So when there is a conversation on literature and poetry where Charu was being a part of the conversation, and Manda becomes a least contributor here. So there is a contrast between the character Charu and Manda to give a contrast of the two women during that particular period of time. Then the scene 4, Charu holds the hand of Bhupati, which described her decision to reconcile with her husband. The parting of Amal turns her hysterical, but it is overturned by the rational and the strong decision to move ahead. So here, if you see, Charu is the only character who acts with her conscience. Like you find her husband or a cousin Amal are guilt-stricken. Like they realize that husband realized that wife has affection towards Amal, whereas Amal feels that he has betrayed his cousin. So both of guilt-stricken. Whereas the movie ends with a realistic resolution where Charu accepts whatever has happened and move forwards, reconciling with her husband. So this is where we see that though there is a society taboo about monogamy, and you cannot have an extra relationship outside the marriage, but we feel like Charu holds she moves ahead to with those decision of reconciling with her husband. So the next movie is Mahanagar, where if you see the movie Mahanagar, you see the uprising of the middle class intellectual, and the city during that time was hit by industrialization, and a lot of people were fleeing from rural areas to urban areas for job. The story of an independent woman who sheds her traditional moral, gets a job to support the family and break all the established gender roles. So if you see, this movie was done around 1963, and during 1960s, you see there was a significant era in Calcutta. There is an advent of communism. So here Aarti plays a critical role in hinting at this social change. So here the transition of Aarti, who binds herself to be a dutiful wife, caring mother, and a dutiful daughter-in-law. When the family encounters a financial crisis, she sets out outside the house to find a job. So here scene 1 describes the parting of the room through a barrier of curtain. Here, curtain is a metaphoric here because it stands as a dividing line between the room of an in-law and the couple. It signifies the differences in the generation. If you see the notion that man of the family must look after the finances, and where the father-in-law refusing to accept gift given by the wife, and because he feels that there is, if you see, there's a gulf of ego in the father-in-law who is not ready to accept the gift given by his daughter-in-law. So there is a conflict between two generations to acknowledge the other. Then the scene 2, the scene which shows the descent of Aarti's son, where she goes out for a job itself, shows how a man stepping out for a job and not being at home during the day is normalized, whereas women is expected to be at home. So here, if you see, women is associated with a motherhood, and being a good housewife is an essential quality to be possessed according to a patriarchal view. Whereas women's place is at home is an argument you will find throughout the second half of the movie. The third scene, Arati's husband is hysterical fear at seeing the lipstick gifted by Edith, showing this looming insecurity. He tells Arati about the change in her worries. So if you see here, Ray brings about two contradicting culture in the movie. That is a lifestyle of two women. That is Arati, a traditional woman, and Edith, a Anglo-Indian woman, who harbors the Western culture of living. So Arati is, and also the attire they wear is another criteria for bringing the contrast. So when the husband finds a lipstick in Arati's, it implies that his insecurity of fear that there is a change in Arati's attitude. So, he feel like she's now not in her control because she's financially independent too. So if you see here in both the movies, Mahanagar questioned the challenges of a woman, her relation with the family and the tradition and the individuality amongst the changing and the evolving city. Whereas Charulata deals with the struggle within the individual, her conscience, her morale, and the question posed about the futility of the marriage. So the research paper has attempted to, bring the women character in with modernism and feminism, with the two major concepts Ray brings out in this movie. Also, if you look at the characters are suspended between traditional entrances and the modern waves. Ray emphasis being on the women characters, Arati and Charu were defined and portrayed in various facets. The paper explored the realm of gender role, women in public sphere and the private sphere. Also, their leap as an independent woman who used their agencies in emancipating the suppressed needs. So the research, to conclude here, brings the social institution of Bengali during the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution and its impact on both personal and social life of Bengal in general, and also the impact of the life of the women. So the voices against patriarchy and its strong grip on women and the emergence of new reforms in the society helped them to express their emotions, be it intellectual revolution or rise of radicalism and the waves of modernism. So emancipation was one of the major themes in Ray's movie that urged the people to think beyond binding norms and stereotypes. So this was my study. Thank you. Thank you, panel, for being.
Thank you, Dr. Anisha. I could actually see the visuals because the film is seen by me earlier, and also I've read the novel. I could see the visuals of that film based on which, based on the novel on which you have done this work. The only question I have as a researcher, you have brought in feminism, modernism in a very critical context of pre-independence India and that story context. But what perhaps could also be added is the political impact on the novel, on the literature and the film. So there was a political movement going on. It affected the families as well. So that aspect could also be added. However, your description and your entire analysis has been quite good. Thank you for your paper, please.
Sir, thank you so much.
That's all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation. It was really very good. So I would like to invite the next paper presenter, Mr. Mohammed Swali K. He's a research scholar from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, University of Mysore. So, Mr. Mohammed, are you there? Please come online. Yeah. Okay. I will just pin your video. Okay. You can share your screen to present the presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, accessible.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible and visible. Please go ahead.
Okay. So my topic of today's presentation is media education and research in Kerala, contributions, current status, problems, and future. As we all know, Kerala is the one of the southernmost states of India. So how media education works there, that's what I am looking forward with this paper. This is co-authored by my professor, Professor Sapna MS. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Media industry is growing in India day by day into various forms. Kerala is no exception. Dozens of Malayalam newspapers and specialized magazines are being published in addition to the English language publications. There are also about a dozen of mainstream news channels working. This is mainstream. And there is uncountable number of news and news related platforms in the online space. As we all know, new advancements such as AI use and augmented reality, such advancements are coming up in the media sphere. In such a situation, these advancements and changing trends has to be addressed by the education counterpart. So is it happening? That's what I'm mainly looking through this paper. The current paper aims to provide a descriptive overview of the current situation of media education and research in Kerala, the contribution of it, problems faced by the field, and the future. We all know there are many studies conducted to look upon the media education situation in all over India, but my argument in the review of literature perspective is a more local look need to be done, how the local flavors affect in media education in the regional spaces, and is there any local flavors as in the media sphere as in the education. So that's what I'm looking to this paper. I used content analysis, case study, and historical methods. This is an ongoing work. So I'm looking at the media education spaces in Kerala. It's mainly university department which offers MA courses, MPhil and PhD, and central government institution. Majorly two institutions are there: IMC, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, which is situated in Kottayam, and Kerala Haryana National Institute of Visual Science and Arts. It's mainly for film studies and to some extent other visual arts. And other spaces, government and aided institutions which offers majorly MA programs, and private institutions. Private institutions in the media studies are booming in Kerala. So which offers bachelor and master's course in media studies. And another one is diploma courses, 1 year diploma, 6 months diploma courses offered by various public and private institutions like Kerala Press Academy, media firms like Media One Academy, Manorama School of Communication, such kind of institutions directly managed by the media firms and managed by press clubs, such kind of institutions offering diploma courses. So I have collected some industry people who studied the media courses from Kerala, and academia people also, how they look at how they're looking back at their media education from where they are standing now. So I have collected 5 cases, 3 from industry and 2 from academia. I'm not going very much to it due to the time constraint. What I learned from this case studies is that some suggestions that new innovations in the industry need to be included in curriculum, and it has to be updated frequently and carefully. One professional said that the media education is favorable to print and television industry, those who are looking for a career in print and television industry. But what booming is the digital media, but no much focus on digital media is being done in the curriculum. That's one thing. And speaking of MA courses, there is argument like it need to be more practical oriented, and as we always say, industry academic collaboration has to be worked efficiently, especially in teaching and training. Industry people has to come to university or other institutions and teach the students. Similarly, the teachers has to go to industry and see the updates in the newsroom. Another thing is inclusion of technical knowledge and training. One industry professional said that they are having trouble after in the beginning of their career in these technical things like for example page making, that kind of things they are having trouble. So if these trainings have done more efficiently, it would be better. And speaking of academia, more focus on research and methodology, introduction to more areas of media and communication studies in the MA level itself. Apart from print, television, radio, or social media, there are many areas of research are occurring in the mass communication. So there has to be the need of throwing light to these different areas of communication discipline, and more academic atmosphere as much needed. Another important point is localness in the curriculum. In Kerala, there is one university which is teaching journalism in Malayalam, which is the local language of Kerala. Other universities are teaching in English only. So this difference have been making trouble for the students who are passing out from the courses. So how this thing, how local language or English can be used in the curriculum efficiently, that has to be looked upon, and training the technical aspects of research like statistical tools, that kind of things has to be taught and trained more efficiently. And another major important point is ethical gap between academia and industry. The students passing out from the courses from the universities, from the departments, when they enter the industry, they have this kind of confusion, like what they learned is ethical journalism and what they are doing is not exactly the ethical journalism. So we have to think about how we can include this industrial realities in the curriculum itself, not to justify it. How can we manage it? That kind of a thought has to come up. And speaking about research arena, there are 5 major departments which are facilitating research in Kerala. It's Kannur University's department and University of Calicut. And in Malayalam University, there's 2 departments, School of Media Studies and School of Film Studies, and Department of Communication and Journalism, University of Kerala. These are the only departments which facilitates media research in Kerala. Research areas, this data I collected from the Shodhganga Influence. Educational communication has been taken upon the media industry and journalists. What is happening in the media industry and the experiences of journalists. Development, media and communication, that's very well taken. And political communication, print media research, new media and internet research, like that, media and culture, film and television. And another important area is animation research. It's speaking of the mass communication research in India, it's a very new topic, but it has been already taken from researchers. And women and media, science communication also be taken upon. Problems regarding research, it's as we all speak always, the lack of methodological training. Methodological training has to be done more efficiently, especially now MPhil has been dissolved by the new education policy 2020. So MS students are directly going to PhD, which is a very important research degree. So when they are directly going to that, they have to have an idea about these methodological things, about the research things. So in the MA level, especially in the MA level, the methodological training has to be done efficiently, and in the other research levels also. And speaking about research gates, we know that media education is a valued brand nowadays. So a proportionate number of people are wishing to go to research sphere also. So when they are trained for that, there is a problem of getting research gates. Even if they get fellowship, they cannot find research gates. That's a problem. In Kerala, there are only below 10 numbers of research gates for mass communication research. And we already said the education and industry collaboration. Now we are also saying that research and industry has to be collaborated. Research with the help of industry would be more fruitful. That kind of a thing has to be done. And the lack of research atmosphere, more research friendly atmosphere has to come up from the MA level, especially as I already said, MPhil is no more. In 2 or 3 years, MPhil will be completely dissolved. So from the MA level, this has to be done. So in a situation where media practice is growing various forms and with various innovations, it is necessary media curriculum to be inclusive and updated of such changes. More research-friendly atmosphere has to be created from the early levels of media education. So that has been my presentation. If there's any questions or comments, I will take. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jafar. The topic is very interesting because we as media educators would always want to know what's right, what's wrong, what's going well, what's not. And you have rightly said that we are still stuck up in 20th century, with the print media or the early 21st century with the electronic media, and less with the current times of the digital and the challenges also of the digital media. Very rightly said, the seamless integration of multimedia, or what we call as media convergence, is not completely taken into consideration at our campuses. And no media education institute, I mean, not just in Kerala, across the country, truly teaches media revenues, media management in the real sense. How do you make money through media? Everyone tells about content. Everyone tells about, the theory and the concepts behind the content, the impact in society of the content. Some people also teach about production of the content, but hardly there is monetization of content being taught. There are exceptions, some, very few. Out of 1,000, there are maybe 5 or 6. But you are very right in pointing out that. As for your research guide and your lament that there are not too many research guides, while you are very correct, I must also congratulate you for having one of the best guides in the country, Dr. Sapna. Dr. Sapna is a great scholar, not because she is a friend, but because she is genuinely a great scholar. She's doing a fabulous work in a university in Karnataka, and is also a valued leader in our the quest for creating higher and better media education in the world that we have started through GMAC. So thank you for your paper. I'm looking forward to a full paper to be published later on in the book that we are coming out with, the selected research papers book by August, by the next, as we end the 75th year of India's independence on 15th August 2022, the book shall be released on that day. So looking forward to having your chapter as early as possible. Professor Swati, a very good program going on. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mohammed, I really liked your presentation. There's one small thing which I want to point out. Like in your research, in your presentation, you mentioned that the participation research work with the postgraduate students, that's very low. So yeah, I really agree with this point. That should increase. We should really motivate our students at the post-graduation level to participate in research work and present their papers at different conferences. So a really nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so sir, with your permission, may I bring the program to an end?
No, it's not about permission. The program gracefully comes to an end.
Yes.
I really thank the two young researchers, Mr. Mohammad Jafar Iqbal, Dr. Anisha Nishant, and also the two writers, Dr. Kriti Singh, Dr. Juhi P. Pathak, our very dear colleague, my former colleague, but my friend for all times, Dr. Madhupa Bakshi, who has today's evening's winner of the eminent media educator honor, and also Sahar Jaman, who joined from the industry and brought a very fresh perspective. And I was reminded also of her presentations or anchoring of news in several channels that she did earlier when I had a look at her after many, many years. So that's also important to understand how media professionals keep themselves up and updated in every sense, and also very presentable when you talk, because that's very significant in that type of profession that she is in. Thank you, all the ladies and the gentlemen. The only gentleman we had was Dr. Researcher Jafar Iqbal, other than me. So thank you, everyone, for your presence. This entire program will be edited into a 1-hour film, will be shared on YouTube. It is already there. The live program is already there on YouTube just now. And the edited version will be also shared with everyone. Please do share the link with your students and encourage them to. I know there is a fatigue, digital fatigue, but over a period of time, this is not just for tomorrow, it's over a period of time, things to be going on. And also I request all the speakers, researchers will have a separate book, and the other speakers like Sahar or Madhupa, they would have their summary of their talks going into a separate book, which will be released in March. We are targeting March, maybe April. So, and the book written by the two ladies, if we could also have a copy of it, so that we could, make summary of it and use it further and things like that. So with that, and thanking you, Swati, you had some anxious moments of one or two speakers canceling or changing at the last moment. I do know that, but you have been quite a successful program organizer. And so far, out of the 25 weeks, perhaps you have been the youngest leader and the moderator. And that's the beauty of our GMAC experience, that the younger ones take stronger leadership as well. With that, we bring this session to an end. Namaste and good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Tomorrow,
Thank
the
you.
26th evening tomorrow will be presented to you by Professor Miss Ghazala Yasmin, head of the Department of Alia University, Kolkata in media. And we'll have the founder of altnews.com, Pratik Sinha, apart from many others, joining us tomorrow at 7:30. Same link tomorrow.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your presence.